Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome,
Hello.
welcome. I am super excited tonight. We are talking about being Black at work when you work in predominantly majority environments and what that is like and how that is experienced through a person of color's lens. And I'm super excited because Trinity is here with me today. She
Hello,
is one of our
everybody.
amazing therapists. Just amazing. She sees a lot of our young adults, career professionals, folks entering there in that space, folks working on trauma, as well as our children and adolescents. So she just really has a variety of experiences working with a lot of different folks. And tonight we're going to talk about this topic because we see this a lot with the families and individuals that we see.
Yes.
Hey, Trinity.
Hello, Melissa. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here. So, why do you feel like this is an important topic for us to discuss?
I think this is an important topic because I think it's so relevant and we often don't discuss it as much as we should, right? So when we're at
Mhm.
work, an average person spends, 40 hours, if not more, a week at work and in your work environment. And, when we are Black American people in a work environment with that is predominantly white or predominantly, more majority people, then it can be really hard to navigate those different dynamics because there are so many things that we're focusing on other than just the job at hand. And so I think it's important to bring this to light to, let our brothers and sisters know that you are seen and that this is important, and making sure that they feel validated in those particular environments. So I think it's just so important because it's happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so glad that you said like the validation part. I mean, that's the reason why I wanted to have this conversation. We just wanted to validate our folks and let you know that we know that this is still happening. We know that you are managing a lot of things. The job, you are code switching
Mhm.
often throughout the day. Like you might get on the phone with a family member and then get back to work, like, hey, how you
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
You are also managing your emotions,
Yes.
because you
Mhm.
don't want to come across as the angry Black woman
Mhm. Right.
or the
Right.
angry Black man,
Yeah.
and so what do you see that looks like? Can you give us an example of what that looks like when you're working with clients?
Yeah. So I will have, I oftentimes see clients in the evening. So I get a lot of my clients after, that 8 hour work period. And they'll just come and be like, oh, I'm so tired. Because it's been such a long day, not only doing the work that they do, but there's so many different dynamics that we have to focus on. And you brought up, code switching about like how do I present? How do I speak? How do I act around, different people? Because is the way that I express myself normally or culturally going to be accepted in this particular environment? So that's something that they're navigating and making sure that their responses are, of a way that which the majority might respond, right? And then when you talk
Mhm.
about emotion regulation, just thinking about there are things that frustrate us at work all the time, every day. We all have it, right? And I think a lot of times Black people don't have the ability to freely express their emotions or frustrations in the workplace because we're so concerned about, what is somebody else going to think? What are the dynamics that are on top of this, right? Like if I express my frustration here, right, is it going to be seen as, I'm too angry, or I'm too uh, just too much in general, or I'm doing
Yeah.
whatever that is, right? And so we're challenged in finding this sweet spot of being assertive but not too angry, or being strong but not too overbearing, or being
Yeah.
opinionated but also being a team player, right? And
Yes.
you have to find this balance, and it's almost like this we're trying to reach the gold pot with no map to get there. And
Yeah.
it ends up being just trial and error of like, I expressed emotion and this is the response I got. And so we just are trying to kind of figure those dynamics out. And it's really difficult when you're trying to navigate, like, how do I allow myself to be myself in my environment, but also I have to kind of carry a mask as well during the day. Like, that's just a lot to focus on in that 8 hour period.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've seen over the years where you might have a person of color who is suffering from depression or anxiety, and they're wanting some time off and not getting that time,
Yeah.
or feeling
Yeah.
like they're going to be either lose their position or be shifted to another position if they took
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Whereas they would see their white counterparts be able to get that time easily and literally be cheered on for taking time for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So oftentimes what I found is that a lot of women of color and men of color will not get the help or the support that they need in fear of
Mm-hmm.
losing their job,
Yeah.
or ask for some of the benefits that they're entitled to. I shared with you before coming on, my daughter recently asked for a chair
Mm-hmm.
and wanted a chair because of the issues that she was having in her back. And she's in tech, the type of work that she does. So she requested this chair because other counterparts, friends of hers at the job, had requested what do they call it? Aerodynamic type of chair or whatever that's
Okay.
supposed to be good for her back. She
Yeah.
requested the chair, and then it went through 4 different channels before it got back to her and said, "Hey, you primarily work at home. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you just," and then the HR person literally told her chair's a couple $100. You just go get you one because right now we're not approving stuff. Multi-billion-dollar company that she works at.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to her. And it was like, I know I can fight this, because she said first they asked for a doctor's note. She got him the doctor's note. Then they wanted to know from the chiropractor. She got him the note from the chiropractor. It was
Wow.
just really interesting. And
Yeah.
again, she's the only person of color in her department.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting how, like, we'll have to jump through different hoops. And if we
Yeah.
don't do it with a smile, or if we are now pointing back to the handbook,
Mm-hmm.
it is frowned upon, and then we're seen as a problem.
Yeah.
And so those are often the things that we see when people come and want to work with us. They've
Yeah.
been shutting down their emotions for
Yeah.
so long. They
Yeah.
don't even know what they feel, or they feel gaslit. Because in this case, again, the gaslighting takes place like, well, who told you that they got that? Or
Yeah.
where did you see that happened? Like, so then they feel like they can't trust their own self. So they're
Yeah.
checking in with family and friends. Like, what do you think on this
Yeah,
issue?
yeah, yeah. And I think it really leads to this difficulty in being able to, like we talk about, like, you want to advocate for yourself, right?
Yes.
But then it's so hard to do that when it's like, I've done this before and I've tried this before and I'm continually met with limits and barriers, that eventually people just kind of get tired, and we throw in the towel, like, it's fine, it will be okay. And the issue is that that continues to kind of perpetuate the cycle. But then again, it's so hard to encourage, to be like, yes, like, keep pushing through, keep advocating, because of all
Yes.
the dynamics that we're facing. So we kind of get in this vicious cycle, that I think perpetuates this issue. So I think it's so important, and I do it with a lot of my clients, of just continuing to encourage them to advocate, right? Continuing to validate, like, you are not crazy. No, this does not make
Yes.
sense, right?
Yes.
Like, these things are not connecting, and kind of being that person to help validate that, so they can get back to trusting themselves enough to stand firm and say, no, I know this is what I need, or I know this is a boundary that I'm upholding.
Absolutely. And just kind of switching gears, again, we see this a lot with the children that we see that go to predominantly majority schools.
Yes.
And a lot of the times what we see is like their emotional development may be stunted.
Yeah.
They may not really fully understand who they are, and
Yeah.
question that.
Mhm.
And they also may find that they don't truly have the friends that they thought. So they
Yeah.
may have folks that connect with them at school, but
Mhm.
then after school for like hangovers, like, hey, let's come on hang over at my house, or we're going to this party or whatever, they don't necessarily get invited. So what are some of the things that you may see with some of the kids that you see that go to schools?
Yeah. Yeah. I love working with clients on this, because it's something that I had my own experiences with as well growing up. And so I'm able to kind of relate with them in that way. But something that I see a lot is just this idea of like identity, right?
Yeah.
Like, and when you're an adolescent, when you're middle school, high school, like that is the prime where you are figuring out your identity, you're figuring out who
Yeah.
you are. And I see, clients come in who are trying to navigate these worlds of like understanding what does, being Black mean to me, and how do I create this identity when I don't necessarily have friends at school who understand this particular experience. And
Mhm.
some of them don't have, other spaces in which they're exposed to that, because if, they're in a predominantly white school, usually so is the neighborhood, and so is
Yeah.
the local church, and all those things. So it's really just then kind of figuring out and exploring what their identity is. And it's this kind of push and pull between like I still want to represent and know my culture, but I also know that I want to fit in with my friends, and I want them to understand me. So it's just a lot of different work on, them figuring out their identity, them figuring out what all of this means for them. And so to me, that's really, really important work. And I really enjoy doing that and seeing them, figure that out and build their identity and just try to be a validating space that they need.
I love that. I think it's also a very hard space for parents because
Yeah,
oftentimes parents are their thought process is I want to give my child the very best education.
sure. Yeah.
And so I'm torn between what I feel like is the very best education for them and
Hmm.
their social emotional development because I know I'm choosing.
Yeah. 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 And that I think is so difficult. And so that's why I think I
Yeah.
encourage a lot of, parents and my clients to say, okay, let's find spaces where you feel validated, right? Like if it's not
Yeah.
at school, is there a special group you can be a part of? Are there extracurriculars? Are there different organizations? Are there, different churches or different ways, different spaces to be able to find areas that they can feel good, feel validated, see like-minded people, see examples of who they're trying to be and where they're trying to get to, which I think is a really important factor in that, because you're absolutely right. Sometimes it is a choice of the best academic school and maybe some of the more social development pieces. And it's great when you can find one that gives you both and has a happy medium.
Yes.
Realistically, we know that's not always the case. And so if you find that your child is lacking in one of those areas, finding ways to kind of supplement different areas where they can explore that for themselves as well.
Yeah, and identity is one, and I love the way in which you talked about it. I always say there really is no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
It definitely makes us who we are.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to different schools. So I went to a predominantly white school growing up. Then I went to a predominantly Black school growing up. And then the university I went to, a private school, was a predominantly white school. And I feel like it's given me two voices, or what we like to say is that I speak a lot of different languages because of that. So I don't say that it's a right or wrong way.
Yeah.
There is just us figuring that out as we go along, and
Mhm.
there are advantages to both.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
it's always good to understand how each one affects us. I know when I went to Roosevelt University, which I absolutely loved, and it was a really great experience for me. One of the things I liked about it is because it was predominantly white school, I felt like I just disappeared. Nobody really paid attention to me. I could
Mhm.
just go do the work I needed to do, go home.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's how I explained it to people. I was
yeah,
like, I was at a time in my life I just wanted to get through school.
yeah.
I didn't really have a lot of friends. I spoke to people, they spoke to me, and I did what I need to do.
Right.
Whereas when I hear about people going to HBCUs, it's a
Mhm.
totally different experience
Yeah.
than what I had.
Sure.
But I felt like that was the one that I needed it at the time.
Sure, sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right. It's just about kind of what you need. And if you find yourself, or find your child kind of lacking in a certain area, or, deciding, hey, someone else might decide to go this way, but I'm going to make this choice, figuring out really what is best for you and your child, and, their and your identity, building during that time. So I think that's awesome that, it's the answer is not be around Black people all the time, right?
Yes.
That is not the answer, right? But it's just really about, being able to figure.
Well, Trinity just popped off. Maybe she'll pop back in. I'm so enjoying this conversation. I hope that you guys are too. So you can connect with us at www.visionworkscoaching.com. And again, this is a safe space for you to find someone that you really connect with as a therapist and get a chance to work with someone on an individual level to be able to see what issues it is that you want to work through. And again, they're all individual, they're all different. And here she is again. Well, she'll pop back in. Hey, welcome back.
Hey, technology. I have no idea.
Yes, I know, right? So I was just sharing the way in which they can connect with you or another therapist. Let
Awesome.
us know what clients you're really looking to work with at this point, and yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I am so excited that my calendar is opening up more and I'm accepting new clients. So I'm really excited about that. And right now, I'm really enjoying working with adolescents, like I said, on some of these topics that we talked about today and transitions, identity, all those things. And also, particularly young women of color ages like 18 to 35, like just partnering with them and walking through some of these life transitions, relationships, work, stress, marriage, kids, all those things are happening at one time during that period of life. And I'm really enjoying being able to kind of partner with these women. And sometimes there's past traumas that start to pop up and they're like, I don't know, I have this pattern in my life and I'm not sure where this is coming from. And so sometimes we have to take a look back in our lives and kind of see where that is. But I really enjoy kind of doing that work right now, and my heart will always be adolescents and things like that, and that age group. So they will always I'll always take them as well.
Yes. Well, I am so excited. So Trinity has been with us for over a year and
Yeah,
now is stepping into full time. And when I tell you her
yeah,
calendar is filling up fast, it is filling up fast. So you want to call
yeah,
and get on the books.
yeah.
But we're so excited because you just do amazing work. And I'm just so excited that you're here on our team.
Yeah, I love
Any
this.
closing thoughts?
Oh, I'm sorry. My closing thoughts. I just, want to, just thinking about this topic, and again, thinking about how important that it is, and just recognizing that as Black women, Black men, Black people, um, it's so important for us to remember that we can still hold boundaries. We can still be who we are. We can still speak our truth. And if we're not getting the validation in a workplace or in a school environment, there are spaces, there are areas in which you are validated, you are loved. At Vision Works Counseling and Coaching, we are one of those spaces that
Yes.
need, that hour a week or 2 hours a week, whatever it may be, to just take off that mask sometimes that we have to have on and really truly be your whole self. Finding a therapist that works, finding friends and family who can support you. Just having those validating supports around you is so important. And then also too, if you have the opportunity in the space, I tell a lot of my clients who are looking in job transitions and they've been unhappy at previous jobs, I'm like, when you are interviewing for a job, you are also interviewing them. So getting to know
Yes.
what their work culture is like, what they stand for, how they operate, making sure that you ask those questions, especially if you had a previous experience that you did not like. You know what you don't want, right? Which helps
Yep.
you discover what you do. So I always encourage them to say, hey, if you're looking for a new job, if you're transitioning, ask those types of questions to find out what that work culture looks like, to kind of help narrow down if you think that, it will be a fit for you.
I love it because you do not have to sacrifice your mental health, your overall well being for a paycheck. I
Mm-hmm.
always say that we get to choose. You are bringing your talent, your resources, and you are your own best commodity. We
Yes.
get to choose the environments in which we show up in. And so I feel like empowering our clients to make better decisions
Mm-hmm.
is what we are here for,
Yes.
truly. And that's how we work to serve.
Awesome. Awesome. I love
Yep.
it.
Yes, well, it's been a great conversation. I will see you soon. And to all of you guys, definitely check in with us at www.visionworkscoaching.com. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.